Hey guys, we're going to be doing a quick overview of AD-RECON and a little bit of BloodHound. AD-RECON is a tool to help you triage BloodHound data very quickly by doing a bunch of different queries and extracting useful, relevant data that you can run down for your analysis to find misconfigurations and other potential paths for privilege escalation. So by default, AD-RECON will run and do a bunch of preset queries. It doesn't take very long to run with its default settings. It does have some command line switches here. Pathing will take a little longer, usually about an hour. Transitive will take a little longer than that, about 5 hours or so. So yeah, these are ones you usually run and come back to. I usually run transitive and come back overnight. They're effectively getting you all the outbound permissions for users and computers. Very useful for hunting. And then you also have --dump, so you can actually see some of the queries that are being run if you want to, take a look at them and modify them to your liking. It's a pretty common thing as you're doing your analysis. You might need to tweak something to grab a different attribute. Well, there you go. You can grab it out of here, throw it into Neo4j or BloodHound, and you're good to go. You can also reverse engineer these queries and teach yourself how to do it, because it's very powerful learning how to do your own queries. Say you're brand new to this and you're like, I don't really understand what I'm seeing. Well, don't worry, friend. We got more help for you with -- more help. Here you go. We basically gave you an explanation, right, of the data files. So it's going to make a bunch of data files, and sometimes if you don't understand it, you're like, well, what is unconstrained delegation? I don't know why that's interesting. Well, -- more help, and it'll tell you why and what to look for. It gives you, sort of an explanation for every data file, so you can take a look at this and get a better understanding of what you might need to be looking for and how to reference it. So I'll give you an example. Let's go ahead and run the tool right now. There we go. That was fast. Took under a second. That's awesome. We are using default lab data, so it's not as big as an enterprise, but generally when I do an enterprise network, it takes under 10 seconds for the default. When you do -- transitive, 5+ hours. So let's take a look at this. We've got a lot of data here. I won't go through every single thing here. Be here for a bit going through all the data points. But, you have some data that's interesting on the command line and some data that's interesting going to the GUI. So here's an example of data interesting on the command line. Users and descriptions, right? If you take a look at this, you can get some context on the environment. Generally, that's what you're going to see. Sometimes you find passwords. It does happen. It's more rare, but it does happen. You can often get good context about, what that account's used for. And again, you might be able to use and abuse that. Obviously, in the case of a password, there's some pretty obvious options. Then you have some ideas that, sometimes the file might be more interesting to look at, also in BloodHound. So if we take a look, here's an example. There was two, GPOs that had some, certificate templates or GPOs that had some, it gave us the rights. So this one has 7 inbound rights, which means 7 objects can reach it. And we may want to come in here and take a look at that. And here we go, we got it. And then you can scroll down and we would see, this is the actual inbound rights here. And we can take a look, right? So we see this is the number of things that can reach it. And that's interesting because, you are going to be able to, if you have a path in here, you can actually abuse this certificate template and potentially masquerade as any other user, which is great, right? So become DA and dump the hashes. And one thing to keep in mind here is that with BloodHound, you click on these objects here, scroll down, and you have the concept of inbound and outbound privileges, which is very powerful. Outbound is what can that particular principal do, and inbound is who can reach it. So those are two very, very important things to understand with BloodHound analysis, and this is the GUI. It's very intuitive. If you're not sure what to do, you can right-click and get some help, and it tells you all you need to know. So I tried to make AD-RECON also helpful. That's what was the inspiration for the -- more help, was how awesome BloodHound is giving help. So hopefully that is helpful to you. And obviously you can do your own queries here as well within the Neo4j interface. You can take that --dump and come right in here and run your queries. Loads of interesting stuff and a lot of possibility, and I hope you find this tool useful in your BloodHound analysis.